Aaron Novello.
Let's go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have a confession to make, guys. There was a time in my real estate career where I would sit in an empty house with cookies that I made, waiting for people to show up. I know, I'm not proud of this shit. I also used to wear my name tag and stomp around public smiling at people, hallucinating that someone would say, oh my God, this is so strange. I was actually thinking about selling my home. And I don't know anybody, my sister, my uncle, my cousin, my fucking next door neighbor. I know no agents. But because you have your name tag on, I feel like I can trust you and I'm gonna list my property with you. Yep, I see some heads nodding. You've done this shit too. And this last one, it's really tough. But again, I feel comfortable with you guys. I used to put my face on my yard signs like this, imagining that someone would say, oh my God, that's the most handsome realtor I've ever seen. I have to buy and sell with him. Yeah, done that, right? So, in all seriousness, what I'm aware of is that if we're utilizing strategies and tactics that was working between 2020 and 2021 that are reactive and passive, if you are waiting for people to show up, that is a weight loss program because you're not making any money. Anybody notice that the volumes dropped dramatically? Yeah, you can't tell because all you guys are posting like, you know, happy-go-lucky on Instagram. It's all great. It's not fucking great, don't lie. The volumes dropped 30%. The cost of money's doubled in a year. Interest rates are 7.3%. They were 3% before. Okay? An $1,800 a month payment is now $3,600 a month. Is you posting on Instagram like this gonna change that? No. Write this down. When times get tough, only the skilled get paid. When times get tough, only the skilled get paid. We've moved from a speed environment, who can get to the lead the fastest gets the business, to now we are in a skilled-based environment. Whoever's the most skilled is going to get the business. Because I'm curious, with less listings, are you competing more? 100%. Right? With less opportunities, are you competing more? Yup. What do you think's going to do it? When I ask people, I'm like, what's your competitive advantage? They're like, I treat my clients right. And I'm like, that's fucking dumb. Everybody does that. Like, oh, I put my clients first. Everybody does that. Jack Welch said a long time ago, if you don't have a competitive advantage, don't compete. Okay? So as the marketplace shifts and changes, we need the right mindset, the right skills, and the right approach. So that way you can continue to get your unfair share. Who besides me is interested in their unfair share? I'm sorry, are we in the right fucking room here? Who besides me is interested in their unfair share? Because check this out, competition's good for who? The consumer. It is not good for me. I do not want to compete, I want to dominate. Make sense? Yep. Okay. Now, how do I know that this is true? How can I speak to you from a place of conviction, the same way I know the sky is blue and the grass is green? I started selling real estate in 2006. And I was being told to sit in open houses, name tag, face on yard signs. I made $13,000 my first year. Not something people would pay you to come tell you how they did that. They wouldn't put you on a panel. They definitely wouldn't invite you on a podcast, and they certainly wouldn't pay you to teach them how you made just above the poverty line. Right? The reason was I didn't have an accurate assessment of reality. I didn't understand what this game was. But once I understood that the money's not in the service, it's in the selling of the service, then it was off to the races. So let me prove my point. How many people in this room have a real estate license? Raise your hands. Okay? We can all perform the same service, correct? Yes. Do we all make the same amount of money? No. Why? Everyone is different. Nope. Some people know how to sell the service better than others. Does that make sense? Yeah. The average real estate agent, if they go on 100 listings, they only take 20 of them. You know why? Because you guys are going in there, oh my God, you have a puppy, I have a puppy, we should be friends, yay. Yeah, I know what you guys do. Okay? When I'm going on listings, 85% of the time I take a listing. I'll make $800,000, average agent makes $47,000. What's the difference? I'm sorry? Money's clearly different, but what's leading to the money? Skills. Does that make sense? So how do I know that this is true? So I only made $13,000 that first calendar year. I got an accurate assessment. In 2007, up until April, I did 15 transactions. I was on track to do 60 deals, much better, right? And then I get a phone call while I'm prospecting. For you agents, that's where like you make outbound calls. I don't know if you guys know that. And you guys have like spidey sense where like you can feel something's wrong before you know it's wrong? Yep. Okay, I had that feeling. And I did something that if you know me very well, I would never do, which is that I actually stopped prospecting and I picked up the phone. And it was my dad. And I could tell very quickly due to his breath and what was happening that my spidey sense was accurate. My mom had just had a very intense health event that required everybody's undivided attention. He was like, hey, whatever you're doing right now, you need to stop and come home. So I did. Within 1 week, gave away all the listings, all the pendings, rented out the condo that I owned, 6 blocks from University of Florida, and I moved back home and started over from scratch. Anybody besides me ever start over from scratch before? Physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally? Is that easy? No. And then 2008 happened. Yay! How many people have been selling real estate? We're selling real estate in 2008. Oh, this is fucking great. 95% of you have no idea what that was like. You think this is like a huge market disruption? Check this out. 50% of everything on the market was a short sale or foreclosure. Okay? Prices were going down 30% per year. People were having to bring money to closing to sell. The most I ever did, guy brought 100 grand to sell. Just to get rid of it. Okay? Now, in that environment, after I moved back down from 2007, April, till the end of that year, did 17 deals. Next year in 2008, 50. While everything's imploding. Next year, 75. Next year, 89. Next year, 98. And the next year, 100. No short sales, no REOs, no foreclosures. One at a time. I did 100 deals one year, 75 were expired listings. Yep, you feel the energy in the room? Yep. So that's how I know emphatically what I'm saying to you is true. I didn't read this shit in a book and think it's cute. Okay? Most of you guys are used to getting talked to by people who haven't actually been highly productive. Right? So, I believe that everybody in this room, with the right mindset, the right skills, the right approach, can dominate this market and any market. Doesn't matter if it's up, sideways, down, backwards, doesn't matter. I spent the last 17 years of my career, I've sold 2,000 homes. I did 100 deals a year, 10 years in a row. I did 200 deals a year twice with 2 assistants and 2 buyer's agents, and 170 of those deals were mine, and they were all listings. Round of applause, please. Okay? So what we're going to do for the next 30, maybe 45 minutes is I'm going to go over with you and share with you what I share with coaching clients and people in my organization at EXP, Elite Builders, to teach them how to be productive in all environments, to have the right mindset, the right skills, and the right approach. Who's up for this? Say aye. Aye. Come on, guys. I need more energy than that. Who's up for this? Say aye. Aye. Okay, good. So if you want to set 1 appointment a day, because by the way, if you're having mindset issues right now, set 1 appointment a day and it'll solve it. You're having money problems right now? Set 1 appointment a day, it'll solve it. If you're considering driving Uber, set 1 appointment a day and it'll solve it. You notice that nervous laughter? Because someone's like, fuck, is he paying attention to me? Like, is he watching me? So, if we want to set 1 appointment a day, the first thing we have to do is a mindset. I prospect for appointments, not contacts. A lot of you guys are counting the amount of people that you're speaking to. I prospect specifically for appointments, not contacts. From an approach perspective, a lot of you guys lead from a place of authority, which is really lame. You're like, I don't know if you know, but I sold a home in your neighborhood right? And I'm the queen of the falls. Did you know that? Can you imagine if you walked into the baker and they were like, hey, you're like, hey, can I get a bagel? They're like, I don't know if you know this, but I'm kind of a big deal. Okay, I make bagels all the time. What would you say to the baker?
Give me one for free.
Or you'd be like, I don't fucking care. Like, I just want a bagel. But this is how we lead, right? Are you familiar with the techniques that I use to sell homes? No. And I don't give a shit. Who is that focused on, by the way? You. And where does it come from? Insecurity. You're trying to prove yourself worthy. And it repels people. It pushes them away. Okay? Instead, hey, you know, my job's to help you. It's never to talk you into doing anything. I guess I'm curious. You live in a lovely neighborhood. I don't have to tell you that. Great school district. Was there any particular reason you were even considering selling? And then what are they going to do? And who's that about? Yeah, and I'm wondering, because again, like I'm not here to twist your arm at all. Is it an option for you to not sell the home and still move? Like maybe rent it out? I'm wondering, if you were still here 6 months from now and the home wasn't sold, what would that do for you and your family? Like, would that be an issue? I've only spoken to you. You seem to be really excited about selling. I'm noticing there's somebody else on title. How do they feel about it? Anybody besides me ever got really excited, ran on an appointment, talked to the wife, she's pumped, sit down, the husband's like this? And you realize in 5 minutes, they're not fucking doing anything. Whose fault was that? Because I didn't ask? Questions, right? I didn't find out what the situation was because I'm too focused on who? Me. Right? Find out how you can add value. What's the situation, right? Relationships plus value over time. Whoever adds more value wins. Because I don't know if you guys notice, we all do the same fucking thing. Oh, I have buyers in Venezuela. No, you don't. Don't do that. Hey, here's a little secret. You guys ready? We all use the same photographers. We all put it in MLS, which actually sells it. How many people posted over the last year, we sold $30,000 above the asking price? Are you posting now? I had to lower it 6 times to sell it. Wait, let's get this straight. You were responsible for one, but not the other? You know what the real truth is? Neither one of them had anything to do with you. It's market dynamics and conditions. It's just ego, bro. It has nothing to do with what's true. And again, you can get whatever you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. Focus on what's true for them. What are they trying to accomplish? Why is it important to them? Right? So, I mean, you were kind enough to share with me that the main reason you want to sell the home is you want to move to Texas. I guess I'm curious. Let's say if you actually get the home sold and you move to Texas, what is that going to do for you and your family? How would your guys' life improve in some way? And they tell you, well, this, and this. Okay. And how important is that to you at this stage in your life? Do you see? Who is that about? Now imagine I'm speaking that way and everybody else is like, are you familiar with the techniques that I use to sell? Who are they going to talk to? Is it magic, by the way? No, it's just focus and intention. Does this make sense? Say aye. Aye. Again, does this make sense? Say aye. Aye. Good. The next thing is you got to role play constantly and consistently. Okay? How can you possibly get good at something that you don't practice all the time? Is that not immature? You really think you're going to walk into somebody's house and ask them to pay you 10, 15, 20, 30,000 fucking dollars and you don't practice every day? That's immature. It's actually ridiculous. Can you imagine you walked into the physician, the surgeon, and they're like, yeah, I'm just going to wing this shit. Right? Yeah, fuck it. Like, I feel like I know what I'm doing. Would you allow them to do that? Imagine you got on a plane with a pilot and like, yeah, it's the first time I've done this. I've done enough. I'm just going to fucking wing it. I'm not going to look at the checklist. We laugh, but this is the shit that we do. You show up unprepared, late, dressed in flip-flops and yoga pants, and you're like, yeah, pay me 20,000 bucks. What are you doing? Do you realize that there's 20,000 agents in the multiple listing service? There's only 100 of them that do over 20 million in volume a year. That's it. 100. You have 100 people competing for 20,000 jobs. If that's what's true, which it is, what would your practice schedule look like if you actually wanted one of those jobs? You tell me how much money you want to make a year. If I follow you around and look at your practice schedule, do they match? Usually not. Just you notice energy in the room? Boo. Look, I'd love to be able to outsource push-ups to the Philippines and I get diesel. That'd be dope. You can't do that. There's no way around it. And there's no security in this business. There's only opportunities. Do you guys get like minimum wage if you don't make any money in sales? I'm just checking because you guys act like it all the time. Right? So there's no security, there's only opportunities. But if I can get my skills to such a degree that if there's an opportunity, there's an 80 to 90% chance I'm going to capitalize on that opportunity, I've just created security for myself and my family. I never want to have to look at my wife and be like, you know what? We can't take that trip to Europe because daddy didn't know how to answer the question, what's your commission? I don't want to have to look at my son and be like, yo, we can't do the really fun shit at Disney World because they said they want to think about it and I just verbally vomited. And I walked out of there clicking my heels like, yay, we really connected. They're going to be awesome. And somebody like me comes in and closes them and then you're heartbroken. I know. I don't like it when you do that, Ewan. Don't close them. Leave some for me. Right? So I feel like it's my duty and obligation. And as a marketplace becomes more challenging, I have to skill up. If I'm hallucinating that just because I'm me, I'm going to do more when volume's down 30%, is that an accurate assessment of reality? No. No. Hey, just like for everybody to be clear, nobody's coming to save you. Nobody. Wouldn't it be dope if there was like a whole like group of people on horses like, I'm coming to save Eric. Nobody's coming. It's up to me. If it's to be, it's up to me. And then this last point I want to really push home. We all want 1% outcomes. We all want to list 100 homes a year. We want to be physically fit. We want financial freedom and independence. That's a 1% outcome. But we drastically underestimate the volume of activity that's required over an extended period of time to get the 1% outcome. So I role played twice a day, 6 days a week for 3 years. Okay? I would videotape myself presenting. You guys want to have a good time? Videotape your next presentation, get a bottle of wine, sit down with your significant other, be like, this shit's going to be funny. You'll be watching yourself, you're like, what the hell am I doing? What was I even saying? What am I doing? I would videotape myself, right? I would record prospecting calls and type them out. And now I can sit in a room with 200 people and role play with them like this. Can you do that? If I was to call people out at random and be like, hey, what's your commission? Can you answer it with conviction? If I say I want to think about it, what are you going to say? Look, if you guys are on, if I own like a thing that you guys were, you know, responsible for the results, I would stop you in the hallway and be like, hey, we're going to interview another agent. And if you go, you're fired. It's your job. Can you imagine you went to the doctor and you were like, hey, I think I broke my arm. They're like, wait a minute. I need some time. I got to go to YouTube.
Oh my God.
I got to go. I'm really not prepared today. Come back to me. Right? And you need practice in high volume. Right? That's why you need to practice every single day. How can you possibly get good if you're not doing it every day? And you need feedback. Real feedback. Right? If you see people that are world class at something, a buddy of mine, he went to Juilliard, right? For vocals. I watched a video with him and a master vocal coach. He would go, the coach would be like, stop. Your tongue is in the back of your mouth. You're not projecting your voice. Do it again. Still doing it. Still doing it. 5 minutes. Stop, start, stop, start, stop. But then when he got it, I heard the difference. I need really high feedback. We have a role play group, guarantees your role play partner 5 days a week. All you have to do is show up. We handle all the scheduling. If you don't show up 3 times, we kick you out. We don't give you your money back. Because the strength of the group is based on the consistency of its members. Make sense? How many people could use that? Yeah, good. Here's my question to you, and this only works if we're honest, okay? No bullshit, we're all friends now. I confess to you so you can confess to me, okay? How many of you guys in this room, no bullshit, role play 5 days a week? Hands up. Everybody else is independently wealthy. You all have too much fucking money. Isn't that unbelievable? Nobody. That's insane, okay? How many people practice a listing presentation 5 days a week? It's where all the money is. It's where all the leverage is. Yeah. 2 people. Let that sink in for a second. All the money, all the leverage, it's the thing that everybody wants. Everybody wants to be a dominant listing agent. You're tired of working with your fucking buyers and your offer's not getting accepted. But then I'm like, hey, how many of you guys practice every day? Nobody, crickets. What are you doing instead? Posting on Instagram? Imagining that's gonna do it? If you want to get paid like a professional, you need to practice like one. Amateurs practice until they can get it right. Professionals practice until they don't get it wrong. Does that make sense? Guys, I'm curious. Do opportunities just come up like this? Like somebody calls you like, yeah, I have $1 million listing, think about selling. I have to be prepared for that at all fucking times. All the time. Because it's an opportunity, it shows up, and if you can't take advantage of it, it disappears. Just as fast. How many people besides me have been heartbroken because you couldn't show up and actually answer the questions right away? More people should be raising their hands. Yeah. Okay? Because they're like, hey, you know, how much is this? How much is your commission? And you tell them instead of setting it aside, instead of like, yeah, that won't be a reason why we don't do business. I'm sure we'll come up with something that's mutually beneficial to all parties. We'll go over the options that you have because I want you to feel comfortable with the one we end up choosing. And whatever you decide, I'll support you 100%. Instead, you're like 6%. Great, they never fucking talk to you again. Just like that. Boop, gone. Disappeared. And you're like, but that's not fair. Whose fault is that? Make sense? Okay. If I want to set an appointment date, this one's going to be a tough one, guys. I have to prospect 3 to 4 hours a day, period, end of story. Don't pass go, don't collect $200. It is not optional. I find it so amazing that as salespeople, our profession has deemed this optional. And I get all of these accolades. People come to me, they're like, oh man, you didn't miss a day of prospecting in 15 years? I'm like, listen to me. Can you imagine if the person who cut your grass was like, hey, I'm kind of a big deal. And you're like, oh, what's up? I cut grass every day. That's what I do. Would you give that person props for doing their job every day? No. Why? It's their fucking, say it louder.
It's their job.
Louder.
It's their job.
Louder.
It's their job.
It's their job. Guys, I'm sorry, this is your fucking job. Paperwork is not your job. Okay? Admin is not your job. This is your job. A day not spent prospecting is a day not spent in business. Your job as salespeople is to be in the presence of prospects, not at home on social. Not in a meeting on Zoom. That is fucking lame meeting anyway. Your job is to be in the presence of prospects. And what we do doesn't change, guys. In all markets, this is true. But as marketplaces changes, how much of it we do and how we do it changes. So let me ask you a question. 2020 to 2021, which was ridiculous, stupid, not normal, unbelievable. I had agents delivering cakes to me to get them to accept their offers. Okay? I looked at a card, I was like, this is fucking crazy. 35 offers. And each one of the agents like, well, you know, when am I going to get an answer? When am I going to answer? When am I going to answer? When am I going to answer? Yep, you were, yeah. We do that shit. You're like, oh, these fucking listing agents. Can you imagine getting 35 phone calls from all the agents? Asking you a stupid question that you know you can't answer? What's it gonna take? I can't fucking answer that question. You know it and I know it. Or, how old is the roof? I have no fucking idea. Okay? What's the AC system? I don't know. Do an inspection. Write an offer. Yeah, the shit is true. So, you could get away in 2020, 2021. How much did you have to prospect? How many contacts would you have to make to hit your goals? Maybe 10? 7? And then you do one deal and go to Costa Rica. You're like, I'm hashtag blessed. I'm like, you're an asshole. Do one deal and go on vacation. Like you're balling. So, if that's true then, if our volume's down 30%, logically, what does that mean for the amount of contacts we need to make? I'm sorry? Triple. So if you were doing 10, guess what? You got to do 30 now. But Edwin, I don't like it. It's not fair. I was making money and not doing shit. Well, those days are gone, bro. And remember, I said nobody's coming to? That's right, nobody's coming to save you. So what I do doesn't change, how much of it I do changes, right? And that's what I got to get clear on. And whatever you were doing before that you called work is not fucking work. Okay? 3 hours a day, minimum. It's not like a option. And don't try to do this. I did it today. Oh, so hard. Guys, there are people who sit on roofs in Florida with the fucking hot shit and hunt. That's hard. Sitting in air conditioning, going blah, 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 blah. That's not hard. Stop telling yourself a story that it's hard. It's not. If you're in this country, probably with a high degree of probability, 60% of you, your people came from somewhere else. Those people who came here had hard fucking jobs. Did they take 3 weeks off for Christmas? Did they take 2 weeks off for Thanksgiving? Did they? No. They took a day and were like, yo, I got to go sell some shit. Peace out. Right? There's a reason why like 80% of the millionaires in the United States are immigrants. They understand the opportunity. Okay? Next thing. If you want to set an appointment a day. Now, this is only if you want to set an appointment a day. If you don't want to set an appointment a day, don't want to do 100 deals, don't do any of the shit I'm telling you. Keep doing what you're doing. But don't become a BMW. Don't bitch, moan, and whine about it. Don't do it. Because now you know what's required. Correct? Yes. Can you play ignorant now? No. No, you know. So if you want to set an appointment a day, you need to do 2 a days. Anybody besides me play football when they were younger? What does 2 a days mean, young man?
2 workouts a day.
2 workouts a day. Now, is that second workout exciting?
No.
Nope, because now all my shit's sweaty, it stinks, and it's super hot out at 2 in the afternoon. Because the first workout was at 10. So what do you think I mean by 2 a days? Ah, see, if you have nothing to do in the afternoon, you prospect more. That's what that means. Because the truth is, what else do you have to do? Nothing. Does that make sense? Yep. So if I want to set 2 a day, if I want to set an appointment a day, I got to do 2 a days. So I did this training program. It was a neurolinguistic programming for like a whole year. But the thing that I got the most from it was you have to keep promises. And you got graded. Now you guys are beginning to know me. I'm incredibly competitive. Like grossly competitive. Like you probably don't want to be on my team. Because I'm going to fucking try to win, right? And the way you won is if you kept your promises. You would get points. So my promise is I'm going to set an appointment a day. So what do you think your boy's doing at 2 in the afternoon if he doesn't have an appointment and he didn't set an appointment during the first session? Prospecting more. Because here's what I know to be true. If somebody held a gun to your head with your loved ones, people that you actually truly love and care about, and said, you need to find somebody right fucking now who wants to buy or sell, otherwise something bad's going to happen, you'd figure it out. 100% you would. Here's my next question. How many people besides me have people that are dependent on them? Yeah, everybody. Financially, spiritually, emotionally, right? If you couldn't for one day speak to them and tell them what work is, but they just had to watch you, would you still behave the same? Huh?
Probably not.
Probably not. No, you couldn't tell them. Not like, hey, mamita, this is what work is. And they just had to watch you. Watch me go from 6 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. Watch me prospect twice. Watch me role play twice a day. Watch me take a listing and then get back on the phone. You guys take a listing and take a vacation. Okay? Now, and this 2 a day thing is an issue of commitment. So I'll tell you a story. Depending on, I know everybody has fucking dietary restrictions now, but let's say eggs and bacon in the morning. Okay? I don't know if anybody still eats that, but let's say they do. The chicken was involved in you getting the egg because they had to lay the egg. The pig was committed. It had to die in order for you to get bacon.
That's right.
So the question is, which am I? Am I the chicken or the pig? Am I just involved or am I committed? Because guys, I don't know if you know this, based on our education, okay, based on most of you guys' skills levels, what else could you possibly be doing that you could earn 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, $1 million a year? Is there anything? No. That's the opportunity we have. I don't have to do this. I get to do this shit. That's unbelievable. My grandma would be like, don't you want to be a doctor? I'm like, Nanny, I make more money than doctors. I know, it's something to fucking think about. Right? So I don't stop. This is a key phrase. I don't stop when I'm tired. I stop when I'm done. What's the objective? If it's a set one appointment, I'm not going to stop till I hit it. And if that requires 2 a days, it's what it requires. Okay. Now, the last point, if you want to set an appointment a day, again, this is only if you want to set an appointment a day, and this is a mindset issue, is understand the opportunity. Anybody besides me ever felt like, oh, fuck, like, I don't really want to do this. I don't want to do that. Because that happens to me. Anybody felt that? Yeah. Do you know why? You're focused on the obligation. You feel like you have to do something. You're not focused on the opportunity. So what's the opportunity? So even though we were having 5,000 transactions per month, which was great, now it's down to like 2,800 transactions per month. Go ahead, you can take a picture of that. So at 2,800 transactions per month, there's a buyer and a seller on each side, correct? So what is that? 50, let's do math. You guys are all good. 5,600 sides. What's the average commission? 10,000? Let's use that number. Guys, $56 million in commissions per month. That's the opportunity. 56 million a month. How much of that do you want?
56.
Here's what's cool, and that would be great. I don't think anybody else would like you if you did that, but what I'm aware of is I just want 150 a month. Because here's my question. Who would notice 150,000 out of 56 million? Nobody. It's going to go somewhere. I'm going to be a good steward of it. I'm going to do good things. It might as well go where?
Me.
Why not? And nature doesn't reward need. How many guys need money? Everybody. Don't bullshit. You need money for food, shelter. Try to pay your rent with a smile. See how that goes. Try to pay for private school like this, please. Nature doesn't reward need. It rewards deserve. Which do all animals in the animal kingdom need to eat? Which ones get to eat? The ones who hunt. The ones who deserve it. You're here sitting like, oh, I want to make 150. Do you deserve it based on your work ethic, based on your skills, based on your practice, based on your commitment? Does that make sense? If the answer is no, I gotta reevaluate that, right? So I personally believe it's my duty and obligation to make the most of this opportunity. So I did like a mission trip. I went to Haiti. It's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Okay? I had seen people on magazines. I saw what poverty looked like. I never actually experienced it. Totally different if you see a child on a in a magazine than right in front of you. Okay? I went to schools that had barbed wire, 16-foot fences, and guys with machine guns. And the kids are just playing like it's nothing. I waited we would hand out food, a line around the block for rice and beans. And people with machine guns so people don't freak the fuck out. Okay? Here's what I believe. If I don't take full advantage of this opportunity that I have, it's disrespectful for all the people who don't have it. You know how many people would cut off their right fucking arm to sit in air conditioning and go la 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 la? Then get in a moving couch that entertains you on the way. Then get out and go blah, 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 blah. Scribble on paper, put something online and make 10,000 bucks. So if you're focused on the obligation, you're going to feel like, fuck, like I don't want to do this, like that sort of thing. If you're focused on the opportunity, like, bro, I get to do this. I'm a representative for all the people who don't have the opportunity. And I don't want to be disrespectful. So I don't have to do this, I get to do this. You notice the energy in the room? I hear people saying, that's so true. So, that concludes the 5 kind of pillars I would call of setting an appointment a day. What I'll do now is I'll open it up for questions, comments, concerns. Perhaps you guys want to do some role playing. If there's, when you're trying to set appointments, if stuff's coming up, anything I could do to be of assistance. Now is the time, and if nobody speaks up, I'm just going to call on you. So you might as well speak up. And I promise you, if you have a question, other people do. Yes, sir. What's your name?
My name's Dylan.
What's up, Dylan?
Where do you get most of your scripts? Are they all custom fitted, or do you have a source that you typically go to?
Yeah, so I am the source.
Okay.
And if you go to AaronNovello.com, there's a link that you can get the scripts. And those scripts are what to say and how to say it to expireds. Again, I did 100 deals, 75 were expireds. What to say to for sale by owners, how to present offers, how to get a price reduction, because that's a skilled conversation. People aren't like, you know, you've been trying really hard. I think I'm gonna lower my price 50 grand. They don't do that shit. It's fucking pulling teeth, right? Yeah, so there's scripts there, and then there's also a course where it has 7 courses, because people want to role play with me, but my time is limited. That's a way for me to be able to allow people to role play with me just in the digital space, and they can watch it as much as they want.
Awesome, thank
Yeah, good question, Dylan.
Where do you get your source and expires?
Yeah, so there's different, like, with regards to like getting sources for leads. Now, I want everybody to be clear on something. There's no magical leads. We all have the same leads. You think they're like, oh, it's my precious. Nobody knows about this shit. We all fucking know about it. You ever notice, I mean, you know your agents, like a neighbor passes away, it's like, woof. Neighbors are like, my friend's an agent. I want to buy it, right? We think it's like, oh, this is in the bag. No. So nobody has kind of magical leads. In terms of, if you're going to be serious about being proactive and aggressive, which I would propose, because that makes you independent of lead sources like Zillow, and which are trying to fucking they're taking 30% of all your money, and then being like, deal with it. That's what they're doing. You know why? Because you won't prospect. That's why. Because you want to be fed like a little bird. You ever seen a mama bird feed a baby bird? What do? They chew up the food and they spit it in the baby bird's mouth. Right? But that's why they're able to do that, because we don't go out into the marketplace. So if I want to be serious about being proactive and take control of my business, then I would propose you need like a gun, and then you need bullets. So the gun is a dialing system. I recommend Vulcan because their data is really good, okay, in terms of their phone numbers. If you go on my website, again, Aaron Novello, there's resources. If you click on, there's a thing there, Vulcan, and I think you'll get like a free kind of trial of it. And then as far as the leads, they'll pull the leads from the MLS. So if you're looking for like expireds, for sale by owners, they'll pull those. Now, if you want to get niche type leads, because when I was very high in production, 200 deals, 50% of all my business was probates and estates, because guys, we live in heaven's waiting room. We have the largest elderly population on planet in the country. Those homes, 60% of them statistically are free and clear, and if they want to sell, motivation's through the fucking roof. Okay? So if I want those type of leads, if I want to be niche, there's other providers. There's one called All the Leads. They do probate leads. All the Leads. And then there's a service that can get you data that is, that in terms of like phone numbers, if you don't want to rely on those third parties, and this source is really, really good, but if you use it, you have to understand they're really militant about it. They're like, look, if you look up a celebrity, we're going to kick you off. That's how good the data is. So you have to be very careful. A buddy of mine did that. He looked up LeBron James. They called him in 60 seconds. Don't fucking do that again. Because if you do that again, you know, we're gonna kick you off the platform. No, that's called forewarn. F-O-R-E-W-A-R-N. F-O-R-E-W-A-R-N. That's for getting data. And there's different tiers of data. Most people don't know this. So like, in terms of phone numbers, lower tier data is like B or C data. Higher tier data, like A data, is stuff that they get from credit cards. That's like super accurate, because credit card company needs to know where to find you, so if they need to get money from you. Yeah, I do that. Forewarn. That's a platform they don't do batch like lookups. It's one at a time, but the numbers are really good. F-O-R-E-W-A-R-N. Yeah, is that helpful? So you need bullets, and you need a gun, and you need bullets. And then the second thing I would propose is the learning curve's massive. You have to role play a lot. right? I would get into whether it's ours or somebody's, where you can practice that skill regularly. Because it's kind of like what'll happen is you'll start calling and you'll get frustrated, because if your skills are low, you're gonna have to talk to like 150 people. And only like 6% of the population is built to put up with massive amounts of rejection. Most of you guys get rejected once, you're like, I can't believe they said that to me. I walk into a room with my wife, I'm like, yo, I wonder how many people in this room hung up on me or called me a name my mom didn't give me. It's probably a lot, but I would make $1 million a year because I am immune to rejection. I would understand if it's your best friend, like, bro, I don't want to go out to dinner with you. Like, okay, that hurts my feelings. But a stranger, who gives a shit? Think in your mind like attract, convert, deliver. All businesses follow that model. I need an attraction mechanism. How am I getting clients? Then I need a conversion mechanism. How am I converting that into contracts signed? Then I need a delivery mechanism. How am I delivering on the promises that I made? Does that make sense? So the attraction mechanism could be outbound. Attraction mechanism, I could be paying for leads. Like whatever you're doing for attraction, you're attracting, right? I would propose that generating yourself is more sustainable and much more profitable, right? Because you notice in 2020, as soon as May, June of 2021, lots of teams started because they had high bills, high fucking spends, and the revenue stopped. And when you look at those models, most of the time, the team leader's making money, everybody else is on food stamps. But they're like, we're a team. Like, you're an asshole. Like, it's just ego. You want to be like, I got a team. Like, it's dumb. Me and my wife, I'm like, yo, we measure wealth by how wealthy people are around us. Right? Most team leaders are like, yeah, like I make money, but nobody else does, right? So I need, whatever I'm doing for attraction, fine. The conversion mechanism is your skill. So that's role play. That's practicing the listing presentation over and over. That's getting proximity to someone who has listed thousands of homes. So that way they can walk you through procedurally how to handle things. Give you an example. I have a guy on my team. His name is Heath. He is a full-time cop, a part-time agent. 21 deals in 12 months, all listings. He's got a great teacher. Now, and the awesome part is he has no idea how good that is. Because if he was in most of your guys' offices, he'd be on fucking panels, teaching classes, right? Because most agents take like 2 listings a year, and they're like, I got my listing, singular, listing, right? But the reason is I personally role play with him twice a week. He's in the role play group, and he's role playing on top of that 5 days a week, right? He has the capacity to be like, hey, bro, I'll give you an example. He went on a presentation. It was via Zoom. She agreed, wanted to proceed. It was a probate. He sent her the paperwork without talking about the commission. It said 6% on it. She goes, dark. Anybody had that happen before? Yeah, it's a rookie move. So what I said to him was like, listen, brother, when she's ready, she's like, yep, I'm ready to proceed. You send me the paperwork? Great. So before I send you the paperwork, what I'd like to do is just review terms and conditions just to make sure we're all clear. Fair enough? So I can do that shit up front. He didn't know to do that. So then she goes dark, but she texts him back and she's like, oh, I was thinking more like 4.5%. Right? Yeah, so I'm like, fuck it, I'll do it. So what I said to him is text her this, verbatim. Listen, that won't be a reason why we don't do business. I'm sure we'll come up with something that's mutually beneficial to all parties. I want us both to feel good about what we're doing, otherwise we won't do it. How about we settle in the middle at 5? She was like, great, sent her the paperwork, signed it, fucking did a deal. He was like, oh my God, she said okay. I'm like, of course she said okay, I knew she would. But that's where that expertise comes into play. If you've been on, guys, I've been on 4,000 listing appointments. I've sat like this and had to fucking with the dogs and the cup, you know, like, oh geez, and all uncomfortable. I've walked out of properties and been like, I need to burn my clothes because they had fucking 9 cats. Okay? I've done all of it. All of it, all of it, all of it. You sit down, they're like, oh, sorry, my wife was busy. I'm like, fuck, dude. Now I know you're not going to sign a contract right now. You just wasted my time. Right? All of it. So what I would propose is whether it's me or somebody else, that conversion mechanism is getting proximity to people. The way I view this is like, okay, it used to be before universities, if you wanted to master a skill, there was an apprenticeship. You know, you used to have to sign 7 years of your life away to the master? 7 years. I know you're like, fuck that. But check this out though. Check this out, okay? Let's say you wanted to master learning how to paint. You signed your 7 years. For the whole year, do you think you would paint? You know what you would do? You'd make the brushes. Whole fucking year. Then you know what you would do? Would you paint then? Nope, you'd make the canvas. Whole year. Didn't touch any paint. Third year, you mix the paint. Fourth year, you're allowed to paint, but it's like the bushes in the back. Okay? And then it culminates the 7th year, you have to make it from scratch. You have to make the canvas, make the paint, right? Paint the whole thing, you got to bring it to the master because you are a reflection of the master. You would go out into the world and this would be like, what's your name? I'm sorry?
Michael.
This would be like, this is Michael who was trained by Aaron. And then people would immediately be like, oh, you were trained by Aaron and he let you go out into the world? You're dope. So people might look at somebody like Heath on my team and be like, oh, well, he has splits with you and blah, blah, blah. Guys, I taught him how to do 21 deals his first year and they're all listings. Be like, I want to keep all my money myself. Okay. Then you'll stay at 12 deals a year for the rest of your life. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now we talked a little bit about converting leads.
Sure.
What about, and a huge part about self-development in the initial 5 pillars, what about developing others? When do you get to a point, if you're trying to grow a business, there's no financial independence, there's no freedom if you are a personal producer for life.
Yeah.
You have to eventually transition into the development of others.
Yeah, so here's what's interesting about that. I think people prematurely try to develop others when they haven't developed themselves. I'm sorry. Do you notice the energy in the room? People prematurely, they're like, I'm going to have a team. I'm like, bro, you can't even fucking wake up on time. What do you mean you're going to have a team? You can't even stick to a fucking workout schedule. Like, what do you mean you're going to have a team? You can't even stick to a diet. You see what I'm saying? So I think everything rises and falls on leadership. I think people do it prematurely. Now, to your question about leverage, that's a good question. Because selling real estate, all I see it as is a mechanism to raise lots of cash very quickly. But most people's minds are stuck in the short game. Because they need money to pay bills, they never take some of that money and buy back time. Does that make sense? So unfortunately, what's true for most agents is that at the end of their career, they putter out. And they have nothing to show for it. That's it. We don't like to talk about this shit, but like that's what's true. You see that like 90-year-old doing open houses? They're like, that's sad. I remember being on calls. I would usually be like the youngest person in these mastermind groups. And I'm like, guys, I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm really not. If I'm on this call and I'm in my 60s and I'm talking about contacts, I screwed up. If I'm talking about prospecting, I screwed up. So in terms of leverage, having a team is a lower leveraged activity because you become a manager. And the reason why most people screw it up is because they're in production and trying to manage. When the coach is a player, the accountability is weak. I'm sorry, I'm going to say that again. When the coach is the player, the accountability is weak. So what you do is you give them leads, you're just like, fucking figure it out. And then you become an asshole because you're like, how come you're not converting those leads? Because like, you're not fucking helping me, that's why. Do you see? So it's a model that's like, doesn't really work at a high level. So what I would propose, what's a better model, make myself as highly productive as possible. What I did is I lived way below my means. Super below my means. Okay, I lived in a townhome and I was making $1 million a year. When I see people with flashy shit, I'm like, you don't even own your own time. You could, how long could you not work and be able to maintain your lifestyle? You know 65% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck? 92% make less than $120,000 a year. That's a fact. If you're standing in Starbucks, 6 out of 10 people make less than $60,000 a year, right? They live paycheck to paycheck. They couldn't come up with $2,000 in an emergency. And 9 out of 10 of them make less than $120,000 a year. Everybody looks like they're balling though, don't they? Look like it. But I coach them. I get to see them financially naked. There's nothing there. All hat, no cattle, right? So what I would propose is resist the temptation for lifestyle creep. Make myself as productive as possible because you can earn a lot of cash doing this. But until I'm making $250,000 a year, I shouldn't think about anything other than that. Because it's a distraction. You guys are like, oh, I'm going to screw around with this duplex. I'm like, wait a minute, let me think about this. You're going to give up $1,000 an hour work to make $500 a month residually. Makes no sense. You should stay focused until you actually start making enough money that you can invest. Because if you're making $100,000 in now, right now, okay, with rent that's $4,000 a month, with car payments, the average car payment's $800 a month. Guys, how much money is left over? Honestly, nothing. 8,000 bucks, whatever. Are you really going to get ahead doing that? I have to make more. Notice the energy in the room. I have to make more money. So what I would focus on, instead I started that, what I did is I lived way within my means, took 50% of everything I earned and dumped it in, not save, because we don't realize that all currencies eventually go down to zero. Every single one in human history. So not save, store, and invest to where the investments pay for housing, transportation, food, and insurance. That's a much better model. I would also propose to start to look at other models. So I used to own part of a KW office. I sold it back. Why would I do that? Because there's other models out there, particularly the one I'm with, EXP, where, okay, I was a top agent with that company for 15 years. I owned part of the office. When I left that company, how much money do you think I left with? Nothing. A hat that said Capper and some plastic awards. So you guys settle for it. You get these plastic awards, this is the hardest year of my life, this is what I have to show for it, yay. It's fucking dumb. I get $8,000 a year in stock every year. So check this out. If I'd been doing that for 15 years, I would have walked away with hundreds of thousands of dollars. Instead, I walked away with nothing and a pat on the back. Thanks, bro.
That's right.
So there are other models out there. The deal with that is that the most expensive thing you can own is a closed mind. And our mind is what actually sees, not our eyes. So if my mind is blind to the possibility, my eyes will be blind to the opportunity. That shit will be right in front of me and I won't see it. And what I know is I know you guys have probably been approached, when the right person explains it in a way that's clear and concise, if you are smart and ambitious and hardworking, once you see that shit, you can't unsee it. That was my experience. But I was a hard no for a full year. But in that full year, check this out. Doing the same thing, $45,000 in stock. Doing the exact same thing, helping my company grow, 130 agents. Last month, my rev share was $16,000. In order for me to get 16,000 bucks of residual income, I'd have to invest $2.6 million, which means I would have to gross 5.2. That's unbelievable. I spent 17 years of my life, 2,000 homes sold, invested a couple $1 million to get $9,000 a month residually. I've done that in 1 year. It's double. So remember, the most expensive thing you can own is a closed mind. If my mind is blind to the possibility, my eyes will be blind to the opportunity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Good. Any other questions, comments, concerns, observations, hallucinations, emotional overloads, ahas? Yeah, so the question was, is if I have a client, because I have a, bless you, it's nothing to sneeze at. So I have a client, let's say, because I've done 2,000 transactions, we get repeat and referral business, people call me, right? And her question was, is if they call me, do I go do the deal? Personally, at this stage in my career, I do not. So part of my evolution was, my business plan this year is I don't go on listing appointments anymore. Now that was very hard. And it's interesting, when I made that declaration, what happened was, is that very same day, I'm sorry, what's your name? Rolanda. That very same day I get a call. It's a trust asset manager, which if you've ever dealt with trust asset managers, those are like, come get me. $750,000 listing on the water in Delray, okay? She's like, here, go get it. And I'm like, well, am I full of shit or am I gonna stick to this? So what I'm doing now is I call my local partners with EXP. I call Brian Morillo. He's like 20 under 30, whatever the hell that is. And he does 60 or 70 transactions a year. I call him like, hey bro, here's the deal. It's your listing to take. Go get it, here are the keys, and I just took a referral fee. Yeah. So I'm not like, you know, yeah. And I'm not competing with people. Instead, I'm...
with that though? I mean,
who?
What if they're like, no, it has to be you, we trust you.
I'm totally... Yeah, this is a great question. Because what's really underneath that, here's what I've learned. The bigger the evolution, the bigger the thing that you have to let go of. So I was making $1 million a year. I had to let go of that in order to do something bigger, in order to have a bigger impact. Does that make sense? So money has an addictive quality, and because of it, you get addicted to the way that you receive it.
No, it's more, how do you...
Yeah, how do I do that transition? Yeah.
They want you.
Yeah, well here's...
They don't want you. they want.
Yeah, so here's what I said to her. Well, two things. The reason why I was going down that track, I have to be totally okay if it doesn't happen. So first, I have to be okay that if they're like, I want you, and I'm like, no, that you're gonna go somewhere else. And I was. The second thing is she did kind of say that. She's like, well, wait a minute, like, and here's the transition I made. I said, okay, great. So what I'm gonna do is I have my business partner, Brian, he's gonna reach out to you. He's an awesome agent, 60, 70 transactions a year, and he's gonna be the point of contact moving forward. And she was like, well, could I still talk to you if I need to? I'm like, sure. I talked to her twice, made $8,000 in a referral fee, and I didn't do anything. And he's pumped. Because you know what my mentor told me, who's 2 or 3 steps ahead of me? He said, you know, if you no longer have a passion for something, you're taking it away from somebody who does. And if you don't really need the money, you're taking it away from somebody who really does. Right? So A, I gotta be okay with like she not being okay with that. Like, that's okay. And then B, it's just an easy transition because we do this in every other profession, guys. When you go to the doctor, who greets you at the door? Does the doctor greet you at the door? No. No, who greets you? Receptionist. What's the first question they ask you?
Yeah, insurance.
How the fuck are you gonna pay for this? First question, how are you going to pay for it? Is this insurance or are you paying cash? Then what they do is they hand you a clipboard. Where does it hurt? I see you. How long does it hurt? Do you have a history of it hurting? Is your family? Did you take any medication? You know what they're doing? Pre-qualifying. Right. Then they're like, okay, now just wait, the doctor will be with you in a moment. That's a lie. Then do you see the doctor? Who do you see? Nurse practitioner, physician's assistant. On their iPad, they're like, hey, nice to see you today. Looks like you're in for this. They weigh you, you pee in a cup, they bang on your knee, they listen to your heart, they make a little notes on the iPad. They're like, the doctor will be with you in a minute. That's also a lie. How long does it take for the doctor to get there? 20 minutes? He or she blows in. They're like, hey, what's up, team? How you doing? Nice to see you. They look at their iPad. Looks like you're here for this. They go, all right, let's check you out. They touch you here. That's a bill. They listen here. That's a bill. You go, that's a bill. They touch your abdomen. You try not to pee. That's a bill. Right? And then within 10 minutes, they're like, okay, great. They write you a prescription. That's a bill. Okay, I want you to come back in like a week. I want to check in with you. Have a nice day. See you later. Here's what I want you to understand. Those 10 minutes, they do that 20 times a day. I know that. Both of my in-laws are retired physicians. 20 times a day, those 10-minute little increments pays for the electricity, for the rent, for all the staff, for all the bookkeeping, and a profit. It's a value chain. Does that make sense? So we do this in every other profession. If you see the attorney and you don't want to pay the attorney's fee, who do you see? The junior associate. I'm like, no, I don't want to talk to you. It's like, yeah, that's cool, but it's like way more money for me, so you should probably talk to them. Why do they do that? Because they're okay with that. Leveraging. Does that make sense? So it's just understanding that. I think it's being okay with letting go of it, which took me a whole year. Because a lot of my ego was wrapped up into being the guy who does all the deals. My identity of like, oh, I list 100 homes a year.
Well, I think it's also telling them, like, if you trust me, you trust my guy.
Exactly.
That's
and
most of it.
100%. And I sell them like, hey, this is my business partner, Brian. He's awesome. Like, he's fantastic. He does a bunch of deals. Like, you're in great hands. He's just going to be the point of contact when I have him reach out to you and meet you at the property. And she was like, okay. She was fine with that. And she was like, and then afterwards she met with him and was like, hey, so just so I'm clear, he's the point of contact? I'm like, yep. She's like, all right. And so he's the one you sent a listing agreement to? Yep. And if I need to talk to you, can I? Yeah. She didn't. Make sense? Yeah, it's a good question. But it's really internal.
It's hard.
It's more internal than it is practical. So my experience is it's 80% psychology and 20% mechanics. So the handoff I just gave you, that's easy. The hard part is being okay with Brian meeting with her and she's like, I don't like him, I'm not gonna list the properties, you guys. And you being like, okay. That's the hard part. Yeah, so good. So the question is she's like, well, you answered that question based on your level, not where like somebody else might be. So if somebody calls me, if I was actively in production selling hundreds of homes a year and somebody calls me and says they want to list the property, I'm going to be there immediately. Like, no questions asked, I'm going to do that deal.
Because you just said it like, no.
Yeah. In your position, go do the transaction.
Exactly.
The only reason I wouldn't is the following. So I just had somebody on a group coaching call ask me, she's like, hey, I have a seller in Key West. It's a $3 million house. What should I do? I said, refer it out.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, but. I'm like, nope, don't yeah, but me. because you're only thinking about money. You're not thinking about the 3-hour fucking drive there and drive back. Because what you'll do, right, and what you'll do is you will screw up a whole 90 days fucking with that one deal that may not even sell. So just refer it out to somebody, and I did the mathematics. I'm like, you're gonna make 15,000 bucks anyway, not do anything. And plus, you're not actually serving the client because you don't know what you're doing. Like, I don't know that market.
Yeah.
The only,
If you want to see it tomorrow, you can get there.
yeah, and if you really want to like earn somebody's trust, say, hey, listen, I really appreciate the opportunity to be of assistance. What's really true for me, I wouldn't be able to serve you at the highest level because I don't know that marketplace very well. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to hand select an agent that is a rock star in that geographic area and refer you to them. And then, you know, I'll kind of oversee it, maybe, you know, kind of be your eyes and ears sort of thing. How's that sound? They're like, yeah, that's fine. And they will appreciate it. Because instead of you like doing a money grab, just because you want to make money, you're actually serving them at a high level, and they'll realize that you're putting them in front of you, which is the way it should be.
When you were prospecting the expireds, were you there at 8 in the morning dialing out to the new expireds that just came on the Vulcan 7 platform?
Earlier.
Early?
Yeah.
What time?
7:30.
7:30?
Yeah. Yeah, because what I'm aware of is prospecting is like particularly that segment of the population, expireds. If you're not 1, 2, or 3, it's like an uphill battle. Because they're like, dude, 15 people have called me, bro. Like their patience is very short, like that sort of thing. So, you know, it's interesting. People would ask me, what time do you wake up? And I'm like, I don't know, like something with a 5 in front of it. I'm like, what time do you wake up? They're like 8. I'm like, damn, you're sleeping in like you're independently wealthy. You know what I'm saying? So if you're gonna play that game, you gotta be early. So I would role play at 7 and then I was on the phone at 7:30. 6 days a week. That's not true. 5 days a week, the 6th day, I'd sleep in a little bit and I get on the phone at 8:30 on a Saturday. And if you're not prospecting on a Saturday, guys, you're missing out. Nobody does that shit, and there's an easier way to get, like, people are available. And think about this. If there's 52 weeks in a year, if you work 50 of them, if you prospect on Saturdays, you have 50 more days of prospecting. It's over a month and a half. Extra time. Make sense? Good. Yes, ma'am.
So how soon would you try to get the appointment? Let's say you were able to set one.
Yeah.
The next day or the next?
Yeah, great question. So the longer you push that out, it's not good. The colder it gets. So what I would say to them is like, yep, so I'm looking here at my schedule. If we were to connect, I have an opening today at 3, or I can do tomorrow at 5. Always 2 options. Notice, I'm not asking them, when can we get together? That's an open-ass-ended question, and they're gonna give you all these different types of answers and shit that's not convenient for you. Write this down. If you're not on your own schedule, you're on somebody else's. You're running out at 9 o'clock in the morning to go meet with people. Why are you doing that shit? Does your doctor say, yeah, come on down today? Anytime you want. No. So instead, I give you 2 options, and either one I'm okay with, right? So yeah, I'm looking at my schedule, and let's say they try to push back. Can't you do it any earlier, maybe like at 10? Gosh, like I'm actually fully booked at that time, but I do have tomorrow at 3 or 5, which would be better for you. I give you 2 options, either one I'm okay with. But if I give them more than 2 options, how many of you guys have ever been to like, I don't know, like Subway, and they're like, hey, do you want mustard? And you're like, yeah, and you're like, what kind? And they give you like 10 options. What happens to your brain? Shuts down. You're like, fuck it, I don't even want mustard. It's like too much. So I just want to give you 2, and either one I'm okay with, but notice they're always in the afternoon.
That's what I was going to ask. Do you prefer that?
Yes, because here's the schedule of a top producer. You ready? Up with something with a 5 in front of it. Do something physical with your body. You guys are rolling out of bed drinking coffee and expecting to like show up magically in the world. That's not going to happen. Movement. Do something physical with your body. Write out some goals. Read something good, right? Affirmations, incantations. Get on the phone. Let's say you're on the phone at 8 o'clock. If you're calling expires 7:30. Prospect in 60 to 70-minute intervals, because that's the way our brain works. We've been here for a little bit longer. You notice your brain's a little bit like, I need a break. I need a snack. I got to pee, like something like that. Because your brain's being overloaded with information, and it's telling you I need a rest. So 60 to 70-minute intervals, take a break, 10, 15 minutes. Not like 90 minutes. Not like, whew, I can go back on TikTok. 10 to 15 minutes. Have a bite to eat, drink a couple pages of a good book. Read a couple pages of a good book. Drink some water, get back on. Another 60 to 70-minute intervals, right? Do that for 3 hours. When that's done in the afternoon, not these long-ass fucking lunches. You guys aren't independently wealthy to be taking long lunches, okay? Quick, 30, 45 minutes, something light. Don't be eating like fucking cheesesteak and shit where you're gonna have to take a nap afterwards. Something light, right? Then in the afternoon, now I have an opportunity to either practice more, do a little admin if something came up, right? I can go on an appointment if I have one, right? So from that point on is when appointments start. I would propose from 1 to 2 is more like admin, maybe practice some more, and then appointments start from 2 on. So notice in my schedule, those things are blocked out, and I don't do appointments unless it's like a dire thing, and I am very clear with them. So just so I am clear, the intention when we meet tomorrow at 10 is to sign paperwork. Is that correct? A lot of you guys are afraid to ask that question. But like, because you think you're being pushy, but it's like, that's what people do when they want to have direct answers. And I'm pre-qualifying. So at the end of my pre-qual, all the time, I'm like, look, you strike me to be someone who's super straightforward and to the point. I'm the same way. So when we connect, provided that it all makes sense, you feel comfortable and confident with me that I can help, right? You do some due diligence, you check me out online, you see track record and reviews. Do you think you'd be open to the possibility of hiring me to help you when I see you tomorrow at 3? And they're like, well, yeah, I'm open to it. Great. So what I'll do is I'll bring with me the market analysis, so that way we can determine together as a team, realistically, where we need to position the property price-wise to make sure we maximize value. I'll also bring with me the appropriate paperwork. So provided that it all makes sense and you feel comfortable, confident, we can take care of it and get started. Fair enough? I'm like, we're not getting together for tea and crumpets. Right. We're not like buddies and shit. We're not trying to see if we like each other. We're getting together for business. So that's the schedule. Yes?
Realistically speaking, when you've gone on all your listing appointments, have they always looked the same? Like you actually went in there and it was just like you prepared for it and you spoke through the whole thing, or like, because everyone has different personalities. So
great question.
Listing presentation, you prepare for it, but then it's kind of a different dynamic.
Yeah, so what comes up for me when you say that is the following. So yes, if you were to follow me around, I say the same thing every time on the phone. The presentation is the same, whether it's digital. So 30% of all the listings I would list, I never saw the property and I physically never met the owners. Well. Guys, do you really need to see it to price it? You fucking don't. If you were so good at pricing property, all your shit would sell with no price reductions. Does that happen? Right. No. Guys, you had to get a 70 on a test. Have $1,000. And not be a felon yet. That's the barrier to entry. So yes, the same way every single time. Now what's really going on here, I would imagine, is that people start to pull you off track and you have a hard time bringing them back. So it's learning how to do that. So they start going on a tangent about like their fucking doorknob or the cabinets that they redid. And you're like, yeah, the looks of this, and I appreciate that, and the cabinets are nice, and we're gonna be able to determine together as a team. I wanna be clear, we're on the same team. Like, I wanna help you maximize value and get as much as you can, because the more money you get, the more we get compensated to help you. Does that make sense? So we're gonna review this information that I brought with me, and I believe that it'll become very clear, not a pinpoint to the penny, but a range as to what's reasonable, and together as a team we'll come up with a strategy, and whatever you decide, I'll support you. Fair enough? Hey, Aaron Novello, nice to meet you. Would you like me to take my shoes off? I'm just being respectful. And even if I notice shoes are off and they tell me no, I'm still gonna take them off. Right? And I'm like, yeah, so what I'd like to do is just take a quick look around. Would that be okay? Awesome. So I'm noticing that the home is really tastefully furnished. So when we have offers come in, are we gonna be including the contents, or do you wanna take that with you to your next destination? What am I doing right away? Closing. When who has offers come in? We. And they'll be like, no, I think we can like take a couple pieces. Okay, great. Did you have which pieces in mind? Then they start to walk me around, because somebody has to be in control. If you let them be in control, you're gonna end up on a couch fucking scrunched up like this, and 2 hours later like, what the fuck are we doing? Right? So that's why I'm like, yeah, I'd like to take a quick look around. I'm taking control. Then as I walked through, I said, yeah, and if I remember correctly, you were kind enough to share with me, you don't plan on making any other major modifications or changes before I start to bring buyers through. You just want me to help you to sell it as it is, where it is. Is that correct? What did I just do again? Close. You guys are like, oh my God, you have a puppy, I have a puppy, yay. You're not closing. Does that make sense? Then, okay, great. So now we can sit down. We can sit down here in the kitchen. Notice who's directing? Me. Because if they direct, you're going to end up on the couch, scrunched up. It'll be weird. Then I sit down. I also am very clear on where I position myself. I do not want there to be a barrier between me and you. Anybody besides me ever notice when you sit across from someone, it feels weird? Yes. Because there's a barrier between them. It's adversarial. So instead, if there's a table, I'm sitting at the head of the table. I can talk to the husband and the wife, or the husband and the husband, whatever. I can talk to them. And I'm the focal point. I'm the center of attention. And then I say, hey, great. So first and foremost, I just want to begin our time together just by saying thank you. With a smile, and I mean it. For providing me the opportunity to share some information with you and to potentially help you with the sale. I always like to begin these conversations just by asking you a few quick questions, just to make sure we're on the same page. Would that be okay? So the first question I have, which I'm pretty sure I know the answer to, is you guys have already decided that you're going to sell the property. You're not interested in maybe renting it out or holding on to it or anything like that, right? Why do I know that? Because I pre-qualified. You guys run out, you sit there, and you have no idea what the hell's going on. And you're trying to figure it out on the fly. Make sense? They're like, yeah, no, we're going to sell. Great. And that leads into my second question, which I'm also pretty sure I know the answer to, is we want to position the property price-wise to sell. We don't want to give it away. That's for sure. And when you do that, you know what they're going to be like? That's right. Don't want to give it away. You don't want to give it away, that's for sure. At the same time, you don't want to have it sit on the market for like 6 or 7 months just testing the market. Is that correct? Yes. Notice, what are we getting them in a sequence of saying? Yes. Guys, this is like fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi shit. I'm like, these are not the drones you are looking for. I'm like, okay, great. And then that leads me to my third question, which I'm also pretty sure I know the answer to. I'm aware I sent you over some information. You checked me out online, did some due diligence, saw track record and reviews. So have you guys already decided that you would like for me to help you with the sale? Notice what I'm doing in my head. Yeah. Notice what she started doing. Without even fucking realizing it. She was like, yeah, I think so. Now, how many times have I closed? 3 times. Have we talked about price? No. Have we talked about commission? No. Did we talk about your bullshit marketing? No. Now, you're either going to say yes, no, or maybe. If you say yes, I do the happy dance. Yay, we move on. Great. All we have to really talk about is how we're going to position the property price-wise. So I prepared for you to market analysis, and I'll go into that. If you say no or maybe, awesome. I know this is a big decision. You want to make sure you're making the best decision possible. I want to be clear. That is my intention. So provided that what I say makes sense to you and you do feel comfortable and confident with me that I can help, I have all of the appropriate paperwork with me, and I'm prepared to go to work for you today. Fair enough? How many closes? How many times do you have to close before somebody says yes? 7. If you're waiting till the end, guess what? You're creating a problem for yourself. Because now you got to get through 6 more, and it gets awkward and weird. Okay? So 4 times have we talked about price? Have we talked about commission? Have we talked about anything? No. My brand. And you say, okay, and then just so I'm clear, in terms of the selection process of an agent, you were kind enough to share with me that you were looking for a few things. Now, how do I know what they're looking for? They told me in pre-qual. You want somebody who's got a great track record, somebody who can help you maximize value, somebody who can refer you to some vendors so we can make this move smooth and efficient. Is there anything else you'd be looking for from me today that will cause you to feel comfortable and confident to go ahead and hire me and put me to work? How many closes? 5. And you're going to tell me, well, I want to talk to you about the commission. Great. And I promise you this, that won't be a reason why we don't do business. I'm sure we'll come up with something that's mutually beneficial to all parties. I want us both to feel good about what we're doing. Otherwise, we won't do it. But again, that won't be a reason why we don't work together. Fair enough? Good. So at the culmination of our time together, there are a few potential outcomes. The first, which we seem to be moving in that direction. What am I doing? Future pacing you. We're already moving. Get the fuck on. We're moving closer to the finish line. We seem to be moving in that direction, is that you may decide to list the home with me. You notice how I paused and said, list the home with me? You know what that is? It's an embedded command. It's neurolinguistic programming. I'm commanding your subconscious to be like, list the home with me. The second outcome, there's an outside chance for whatever reason you may decide not to list the home with me. And the third outcome is, this is just as important as the other two, is if for any reason at all, if I honestly felt I would not be able to help you get what you wanted in the time that you wanted, I may decide to humbly decline the opportunity to list your home. The reason I would do that is I'd much rather earn your business with integrity, right? Telling you the truth about what's reasonable, realistic, versus promising you the moon and not being able to deliver. And any one of those 3 I feel comfortable with. Fair enough? That last one is a takeaway close. What are we at, 6? Right? Like I might not want it. When everybody else goes in there, please, 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 please me. Please. I promise you I'm a real nice boy. Do you see? Now, have I done that once or twice before? Could you wake me up in the middle of the night and I could do that? 100%. All day long. But if you can't, don't expect to get a lot of listings. Sorry. The people you're going to list with are your uncles and your aunts and your cousins because they don't object. They don't push back at you. You show up and they're like, oh yeah, sure. Okay, this, yeah, fine. They don't even read the fucking paperwork. If you're competing though, nope, nope. I had one of the guys in the role play group. He was like, hey, if I find out Aaron's going on a listing, I don't even go. He's like, bro, that's some Michael Jordan shit. I'm like, that's what I want. I want the skills to be at such a degree I could do that day in and day out. Now, what I just demonstrated to you, I do it the exact same way, whether it's Zoom, whether it's in person, whether it's a condo, it's $1 million house, it doesn't matter. Make sense? Good. Yes?
What does your listing presentation look like?
Well, I was just,
I'm sorry.
yeah, it's okay. Oh. She's like, hey, can you do that whole thing all over again?
So listing presentation, I'm saying pre-listing. Like, do you send them a package?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So pre-listing,
So what is that?
good question. So as soon as I book the appointment, I send them a BombBomb video. How many people here use BombBomb? Yeah, fucking 2 people. That's crazy. You know what the barrier to entry is for video? What stops people from doing video? Insecurity. Not cool enough. My hair's not cool enough. My fucking makeup's not right. They're all gonna laugh at me. My daughter, who's 10, was starting like a new gymnastics class, and she was up at night crying. I'm like, what's up? She's like, oh, well, it's new, and these new people, they're all gonna laugh at me. They're gonna think I'm stupid and dumb. I'm like, guess what? Adults do the same shit. How many of you guys know social's important, but you fucking chicken out and don't do it? Yeah, it's just insecurity. It's all it is. So I shoot a BombBomb video. Hey, you know, Susie, this is Aaron. I just want to shoot a quick video, put a face to the name, say thank you kindly for taking the time to speak with me. I know your time is very valuable. Having heard the story and what you're looking to accomplish and why, I feel supremely confident that we can help you maximize value and get top dollar quickly and efficiently. So as promised, we're going to be sending you an email to this email address, and in that email, amongst other things, will be an updated market analysis that we'll be reviewing together as a team so we can figure out strategically how to position the property to make sure we get top dollar. And I'll bring that with me. I'll also have with me the appropriate paperwork. So provided that it all makes sense and you feel comfortable and confident, we can take the next steps. So in the meantime, if you need to reach me, here's my personal cell, blankety blank. Otherwise, thanks for taking the time to speak with me. Thanks for taking the time to watch this. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. Bye-bye now. How many people send them that video? Nobody. Will that cause you to stand out? Yes. 100%. Because you're meeting them in a digital form. How many people have met me in the digital form before they met me in the physical form? 1, 2. Okay, here's what's interesting. She told me the story. She, Jeanette, told me the story. You realize I wouldn't be here if she didn't see me on TikTok? You know what she said? She was like, yeah, I needed a speaker. I'm like, who's going to speak? And she started flipping through TikTok. She saw me speak. She's like, that guy curses. I curse. That's awesome. It's true. But you guys are afraid to let people like see you. And I know that there's somebody in this room who doesn't perhaps like me because I curse, and that's cool. That has more to do with them than it does me. But I'm fine with it because they're not my peeps. You see what I'm saying? Authenticity is the best form of advertising. That's right. So I send a BombBomb video. Then I would send the information to do the CMA to my team who would actually do the CMA, not me. 3 actives, 3 closed, 1 pending. That's it. All your guys' charts and graphs and fucking price per square foot, it's a waste of time. You spend 2 hours doing it. And you still don't get it right. It's a waste of time. So 3 actives, 3 closed, 1 pending. We send it to the client with a, so there's 2 PDFs. One is a pre-listing package, not you holding your dog. Yeah, don't do that shit. Don't be like the cat lady, bro. Like, don't do that. So, hey, can you imagine your doctor on their business card, like with their dog?
I don't do it, I swear.
Fair. If I see it, though. So, it has a pre-list package as a PDF and the comps that we're going to go over. Because if they're going to freak the fuck out, I want them to do that before I see them. Make sense? I'd much rather do it then and call me back and be like, bro, these comps, than when I got in a car, I'm gonna take a listing, I'm gonna take a listing, I'm gonna take a listing. You do your affirmations, you get all dressed up, and then you get there and they're like this. You're like, I saw those comps, bro, you're fucking crazy. I'd rather them do that before I see them. Does that make sense? And then we call to confirm, right? The other thing we do is in the signature of our email. So how many people, when you need something, technology has trained us this way, so like, let's say you don't know what product or service to use. Do you pick up the phone and call somebody first in 2023? Nope. What do? You go to the internet. You Google it. And what do you look at? Reviews, videos, social profiles. Then you make a decision on who gets your money, correct? Why are you not doing this for yourself? I see agents have 300 people. It's like, what are you doing? 2 reviews. I'm like, you're a rock star, but I can't tell. You look like every fucking Joe Schmo. Right? We have 300 reviews on our Google reviews. Make sense? So what I would say in pre-qual, this is part of, because it's all part of the sale. People think the listing presentation starts when I hit the door. No, no, no. It starts in pre-qual. It starts when I'm setting the appointment. But anyway, I would say, hey, in the email that I'm going to send you, in the signature of my email, there'll be a link to our website, which you can go and check out, put a face to the name. There'll also be a link to all of our personal reviews online. I have over 500 5-star reviews from clients just like you that we've helped from start to finish get the most in your area. So I encourage you to take a look at those in preparation for connecting, so that way you can get a feel and a flavor for the service and results we provide. Fair enough. Why am I saying that to them? That's how we've all been trained to make decisions about who gets your money. You realize, you're sitting with your significant other, you're like, where do you want to go to eat? I don't know, where do you want to go to eat? I don't know, right? After an hour of that shit, you go online, you go to Yelp, reviews and pictures, that's who gets 150 bucks. Ta-da!
And it's one more click.
Right, so like, that's part of that process. So it consists of the email, but then also pushing them to digital assets. And if you don't have digital assets, you really don't exist. You're like, you don't stand out in any way. So let's say me and you were going on a listing appointment, and I might, again, it's not comparison, like just for like example purposes. You call them and you're like, yep, I'm gonna come see you. They look you up online. You have 2 Google reviews. I push them to 500 reviews. Who do they immediately think knows what they're doing more? Whether that's true or not. Because check this out, if you're on Amazon, right? If there's a product, let's say one product has 150 5-star reviews, another one has 10,000. Which one are you gonna buy? Here's where it gets really interesting. Are you willing to pay an extra $5 for the one that has 10,000 reviews? Yes. That's perceived value. It's not even real. But that extra $5 could be like 20% more. Does that make sense? Good question. All right, any other questions, comments, concerns, observations, hallucinations, emotional overloads? Yes, ma'am. Don't take them. Yes. But go ahead. How do I what? No, so, yeah, no, don't take them. But what's coming, like the reason why that is because you're not pre-qualifying. So motivation,
What was the question?
she said overpriced listings.
Oh.
So I just yelled back at her like, don't take them. Yeah. But we can go deeper into it. What causes us to take, 2 things cause us to take overpriced listings. One is kind of coming from a place of scarcity instead of abundance. 2 is we don't understand what the word motivation means. If you break down the word motivation, it's motive to take action. It's a reason for doing something. So you're not asking questions like, hey, your home's lovely. If you don't mind me asking, was there any particular reason you were even considering selling it? What would happen out in the outside chance if we were still here 6 months from now and it didn't sell? They're like, I wouldn't give a shit. Nope. Yeah. Not interested. Right? If you're like, yeah, and let's say they're adamant, you're in pre-qual. So like, you strike me to be someone who's super kind of, on point. I'm sure you've been going online and look at some of these sites that give estimates of value. I used to say Zillow, but fuck those guys. So instead, what I'm going to say is like, I'm sure you've been to some of these sites that give estimates of value. So I'm wondering, did you have an idea at all of realistically what you were thinking in terms of price? Now, why do I say realistically? Everything after the word realistically has to be realistic. It's neurolinguistic programming. And they're like, well, I'm thinking like 1.7. And in your mind, you're like, God damn, like that's ridiculous. That's like 1.3 all day long. So then you ask them, you're like, well, let me ask you this. let's say that we knew through no fault of your own or mine, which is a good way to deflect, through no fault of your own or mine, you know, the marketplace was showing us, gosh, like somewhere around like 1.3, 1.4 was more realistic based on what buyers and sellers have been agreeing. If that was the case, what do you think you would do? And if they're like, I'll just keep it, I'm like, great. May I make a suggestion? You should just keep it. I appreciate your time, make it a great day, and then you MTFO. Okay, do you know, anybody know what MTFO is? Move the fuck on. Yeah, so what I would do is, like, let's say you did in a moment of weakness. No, you knew better. Because here's the deal. You guys know when you do that shit. You know in your heart, there's like, this shit isn't going to sell. But you just want to go back to all your friends and be like, I got $1 million listing. But you know it's not going to sell. And I had a coach one time, he was like, hey, are you a collector? I said, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, do you collect listings? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, what's the purpose of a listing? I'm like, to sell it. Oh, you see what I'm saying? That's the measure. So let's say in a moment of weakness you took that listing, I would have a come to Jesus talk with him. And I'd say like, hey, you know, what I'm aware of is we've been on the marketplace for like 30 days. And I wanted to give you a quick update just to let you know where we're at. And I also wanted to provide you with a few options that we have at our disposal. So that way you can decide what you feel is best. And whatever you decide, I'll support you. Fair enough?
Amen.
Yeah, so it's been, you know, 30 days. And in that time frame, we've had one showing. Were you aware of that? Like, yeah, well, can you put it in the Wall Street Journal? You know, that kind of shit. And you're like, well, I appreciate where you're coming from and asking that. And, you know, it sounds like you just want to make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to get the home sold. And what I can share with you, I know you don't follow me around every day, we're doing the exact same things that have helped us to sell X amount of dollars worth of real estate this year, or sell X amount of units this year, if that's impressive. So I know that that works. That's really not it. When a home's not selling, there's a few reasons why, and I'd like to share them with you. Would that be okay? Yeah. So the first is the condition of the property. Now you tell me, do you feel like your home is not in good condition? And what are they all going to say? Even if it's a piece of shit.
Beautiful. Oh,
it's fantastic. Right? I got that 2010 kitchen. It's dope. Right? So of course they're going to be like, it's fantastic. Whatever they say, you're like, yeah, I agree with you. It's not the condition. Right? Now, the second issue is perhaps maybe I'm not doing my job. Maybe I'm just dropping the ball. Now, why am I saying that to them? Because they are. So I'm just going to be like, take off all the clothes. Let's do it. Right? Maybe I'm not doing my job. Maybe I'm dropping the ball. Now, again, I know you don't follow me around every day, but we're doing the exact same things that we've done. So I know that that's not it. And the third reason is the price. Now, when we originally connected, you were kind enough to share with me that the main reason you want to sell was blank, blank, blank. Is that still the same, or has that changed? Still the same. Okay, great. So with that being the case, and with the amount of showings that we've had, I did an updated market analysis, and I'd like to review it with you. And again, I want you to be clear. Sometimes when I review this information with people, they misinterpret it as though I'm not on their team. But you see, I respect you enough, and I appreciate the opportunity to be of assistance, that I'm going to tell you the truth, even if sometimes you don't like it. So the last closed sale, I don't know if did you see that one off 1265 Plum? Like, yeah, you know, I saw it, but like their kitchen's not as nice as mine, and blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I appreciate that. They sold for 1.3. Did you know that? Now let me ask you this. If you were a buyer, not a seller, because I know those hats are different. If you were going to buy this place all over again, and you knew that one sold for 1.3, honestly, where do you think you feel comfortable making an offer that you believe would be reflective of fair market value? Now, who's telling them? They're telling me. Now, when they're confronted with like that, polite confrontation, one of two things are going to happen. They're either going to say something reasonable, probably 1.3, or they won't admit it. They'll be like, well, I see what you're saying. Right? They won't admit it. They're either going to do that, or they're going to get unreasonable. I don't care what the fucking comps are. Now you know you're dealing with somebody who's not connected with reality. Right? So if they're like, well, yeah, I get, or they're going to hem and haw. They're going to try to change the subject. They're going to talk about something else. And what they're doing right in front of you is going in denial. In the Bible, it says we would prefer to be lied to than to be told the truth. That is true. The truth will set you free, but at first it will piss you off. Right? So if they say like either one of the, let's say they say like, well, yeah, but like mine's nicer. It's like, yeah, I appreciate that. I guess I'm wondering though, if you were a buyer, honestly, do you think you would offer $400,000 more than the last closed sale? Honestly. And they're like, well, probably not. Okay, don't you think most buyers feel pretty similar to you? Yeah, so we're in agreement that the marketplace is showing us around 1.3 seems to be reasonable. Do you see what just happened there? Who showed us?
The market.
The market, not me, because you guys own the price. And then they're like, but you told me, you promised we can do it. And then you back yourself into a corner when you go to ask them for a reduction. So they're like, well, yeah, we're in agreement. The marketplace is showing us like 1.3, so we have a couple options. Whatever you decide is fine. One option is we keep the price the same, and more likely than not, we're going to get the same result. That's not me being negative, it's just an accurate assessment. Very few showings, no offers. The second option, and it's a drastic option, but I want to make sure we talk about it, is we take it off the market. Okay? It's fine. We'll revisit it another time. The third option is we lower the price. And in doing so, we'll dramatically increase the probability we can get you an offer that's acceptable based on what you're looking to accomplish and why, based on the time frame you'd like to make this happen in. What do you think we should do? Let them decide. But be totally okay with them taking it off. Make sense?
Is this over the phone or in person?
Over the phone. Yeah, I'm not going to drive to you to go do this. Does your doctor come and drive to you? No. I'm going to do it over the phone. It's way more efficient. Yeah, last one. We'll be here all day. Let's go. Yes, ma'am. 3 weeks. 3 weeks is more than enough time.
What was the question?
How long do you wait before you ask for a reduction?
What?
How long do you wait before you ask for a price reduction?
In this market.
Yeah, 3 weeks. 30 days is too long. Too long. 3 weeks. I start prepping them at 2 weeks and then I ask at 3. Yeah.
And they're okay.
Huh? 100%. All right, guys. Well, listen, this has been an enjoyable use of my non-refundable precious breaths. I hope it has been for you as well. You can find me at Aaron Novello on all channels, Instagram, TikTok. If I could be of service or helpful to you guys, just let me know. Appreciate you. Yep.
You can find Aaron.
High energy equals high income. I'm going to say that to you again because I want you to be clear on it. High energy equals high income. I want everybody to be clear on something.